only going over Jordan. I'm only going over.
Hello, everybody. Hello. No, I'm not crying. You're crying. Was that not an amazingly beautiful film? If you haven't seen it, stick around at the end. You'll be able to see it on the Digital Ren Fair Facebook page. But then it's going to be gone for a little while. You'll have to wait. So I hope you just watched it. Makes me cry every time in the best freaking way. That was Renaissance Man. It was a short film by the company Draft. They're out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And that was premiered by the Digital Ren Faire, which you probably already know, because if you didn't know that, it's not like you'd randomly show up here on the Digital Ren Faire Facebook page watching this stream, or the Digital Ren Faire YouTube page watching this stream, and not know what's going on. Also, I'm the Gwendolyn. Hi, everybody. My show is the Gwendolyn Show. You can see all my information down at the bottom. You can find me on Facebook. But this is not about me. This is about this amazing short film that everybody just watched. Hi, Cecilia. Yeah, it made me cry too also as well. And I don't have a handkerchief, so I had to use the back of my hand and my cat to dry my eyes. You got to use what's around. I'm resourceful. Anyway, we have two fantastic, exciting people to talk to at this talk back, and we can find out all the things about this short film and the Tennessee Medieval Faire and all of this, the awesomeness. So I'm going to bring on the director, producer of the Tennessee Medieval Faire, Barrie, and I'm going to bring on the film director. Hi, Barrie. Carson. Hi, you two. So everyone take a good look at these two ridiculously talented people from the Tennessee Medieval Faire, and that put together that short film that was, and Barrie's got a cat. See, Carson, did you bring your cat?
She's around here somewhere, but she's not going to be as yeah, she's shy.
That counts. That counts. It's all good. You imaginary cats are still cats.
Exactly.
I just want to tell you guys, or show you guys this comment. Ashley says, so much talent was in that video. We love William. I fell in love with William.
He's amazing.
He was so good. He had a cat too in the video, which I extra liked.
He had, I think at that time, I want to say it was somewhere between 20 and 30 when we recorded that.
He rescues cats.
Yeah.
He had that many cats. Oh, that's he's even better. I already loved him. Now I love him even more. He's that many cats.
He rescues cats.
There was 3 in the film. He said, "Did you notice there were 3 different cats?"
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh,
his best joke was that no, it's not a different cat. It's actually a costume change.
That's perfect. Oh, I just want to. Barrie, you're making me so jealous right now.
I'm seeing it. We'll stay up there.
There you go.
The test.
So, because many people might not know you guys yet, or you two yet, I wanted Carson. I want you to talk a little bit about your involvement with the. Sorry, I have a clipboard, so that's why I keep checking my notes. I wanted you to talk about a little bit about your involvement with the Tennessee Medieval Faire and your inspiration for the short film. But first, I want Barrie to talk about the Tennessee Medieval Faire and like really briefly how it came to be. And also, I got to tell everybody, I meant to say this before, Tennessee Medieval Faire holds a really special place in my heart because my sister and I were there with the Steel Sisters, their sword fighting show, for the preview weekend for the Tennessee Medieval Faire and their first couple seasons. And then when I went solo, Barrie gave me my first contract to perform the Gwendolyn Show at a Renaissance festival, and it was so much fun. The fair is just a delightful little nugget of fair, and so I will always love the Tennessee Medieval Faire and be grateful for Barrie giving me that opportunity, because opportunities are what the Tennessee Medieval Faire is all about, right?
Exactly, definitely. And since you and I have both performed at Sterling, I knew the quality of actor that you were, and yeah, so how this all started was, very briefly, is that my husband, Lars Paulson, worked his way up to be general manager of several different Renaissance festivals, and I was a touring performer act. So we got married, and then his goal was always to have his own show. So we don't have kids, so we have a baby festival, if you will. So the whole thing is to pay it forward. Anything that we've ever seen or ever done or recently learned, we're building into the show. That's the whole point, to be a blessing across the board.
That's awesome. And I know, so how many seasons have you had?
Let's see, we started, as you were saying, October 14. So we
Mm-hmm.
just had our 5th Medieval Fair, and this 5th or 6th. With COVID, I've kind of lost a year. So
yeah, no, I am not counting this year, and my birthday this year, not counting it. I'm not adding a number. Whatever, I don't care what they say. And so Lars is the artistic visionist.
driver. Yeah, he has a degree
Yeah.
degree of art from Ringling College of Art and Design, and 40 years experience in building props and sets and managing festivals. So yeah, so he's the president. He's my boss, president, and but he likes to go by general manager. But as an artist, then he designs everything, and now he's writing scripts, and so he just keeps expanding. And so I do everything he isn't doing.
I know. I can't imagine. You guys both wear so many hats. Like between the two of you, because it's really the two of you are making it all happen.
Right. And that's what we're grateful for, people like Carson. Like, he's an actor. He wasn't cast because he's a videographer, but it doesn't hurt that he has other skills. Just like Garrett, he's one of our other actors, and he wasn't cast because his grandfather's on the city council, but it doesn't hurt.
Hey, you use those connections where you got them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Carson, so you've been involved, because I met you before you were involved with the festival, but now you're on cast. And tell us a little bit about how that inspired you, or if that inspired you to create this film, and your work with Draft, because you told me the production company you work with does a lot of commercial kind of stuff.
Yes,
and then you do some projects that really mean a lot to you, and this was one of those.
Right. Yeah, we I've been with Draft for 8 years, but I've known the owner Alex for even longer. And we do a lot of mainly commercials, and there's a lot of web videos and short films and documentaries and stuff. But there are those times like this where we get to do a passion project, so to speak. And we just really get to scratch a creative itch and make something that we hope is going to inspire people and do some good. Those are the types of videos that we really want to make. But as far as the Medieval Fair is concerned, I went to my first Tennessee Medieval Fair in spring of 2017. And that's where I saw you for the first time. And then I also had a friend of mine that I used to work with at a local television station. And he was there as a part of the cast, Mark Dudek, or Henry Culpepper of the Crossjacks. And so he and I used to work together, and I was surprised to see him, because he's in full character. And he, he's like, "Oh, hello, how art thou?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I just had such a good time with my family there. And while I was there, I asked him, I was like, "How do you get involved with this thing?" And he says, "I tried out for a pirate festival." I was like, "There's a pirate festival?" And so I decided to just honestly, kind of like William in the show, is like on a whim. It was really a moment of why not? It just looked like so much fun. And I definitely made the decision after we got back from the Medieval Fair. That entire week, my kids were playing knights and dragons and, just anything that, and if they weren't playing, something that was fantasy related, they were doing something that was something they saw on stage that captured their imagination. And that just went on. And I'm like, man, this is just incredible how something can really just be this wealth of imagination. And it's just really refreshing to see that type of response in your kids. And so that's why I do the Medieval Fair, is for my kids and every other kid that goes by there. And I never know who's going to walk out of that gate being inspired by a character that I play, or a character that anybody else plays, or just a small moment that they have. That's why I do that.
Definitely.
And so I wanted to tell a story that really captured the heart of what we do. And if you boil it down, it's really about community. And, with a lot of theater, that you have a lot of community and tight knit, sense of family and togetherness. You have that with a lot of that type of thing. But there's something about this one where we all just keep coming back. And there's this huge sense of inclusion where you are able to try new things, even though you may not be an experienced actor. If you go to a local stage production of whatever it could be, and you audition for something, then they're going to pick the best people that they need for that particular play, right? Well, with the Medieval Faire, you can go in not thinking that, not knowing or what you're going to do, or not have any experience whatsoever, like William, and Barrie sees some promise, and she gets to play, and she'll give you a chance, and that I really like that sense of openness and that sense of play that we have in that. And the best analogy I could ever come up with for that, and this, what I'm about to tell you, is really kind of what sparked the entire direction for what would become Renaissance Man. Is it reminded me of when I was a kid, and when you would sit on your porch and you would see kids in the neighborhood playing across from you. And if you got up the courage to go over and say, "Hey, can I play too?" and they say yes, your whole world changes. And that's what this is.
That's so cool. And Barrie, you love, like, that's big for you, giving that opportunity to people that might not, like, you want, like you said before, you want them to be able to, pay attention and follow directions and everything, but you don't expect someone to come from like a New York City Juilliard school of acting or everything. Like, you really make it accessible to a lot of people.
Right. And one thing that helped when I was training, I was all about stage combat. That's how I came up, and they didn't teach us anything about acting. So I was afraid to interact. And so I don't want people to be that way. So what I had the opportunity to do at a local dance studio was, after I took all kinds of dance, then I said, well, I come from theater. Can I offer musical theater and do improv? And it was the Academy of Dance Arts in Lenore City. And they're like, sure. So I got to work with kids from, like 5 on up to 18. And I had to get books on improv and all that. So I taught myself all these things. And it's like, wow, if I had known this back when I was 9, so to give it to the kids that way. And then I got to see the results, and we would have these shows for the parents, so they would see, and they would say, well, what helped you about the improv, or what helped you with your schoolwork? And they would say, well, I got to answer questions from a science fair, and I didn't feel afraid because we're doing all these things in improv. And they would credit the stuff that we were learning. So, the improv games, as Nicole, it doesn't matter what age, whether you're little or you're old, it doesn't matter. And in theater, it doesn't matter about your age. You all audition and you're all peers, right? Mm-hmm. And so then that was part of all of the training, is to bring in, not only the stage combat, which is my love, but then the improv games, and then the costumes and the characters and all that. So we would, as long as people want to come and play or be willing, that then we'll find a place for them. We're really about finding a place, not keeping them out. Like Carson, you were saying, in theater, there's only so many roles. But right. With us, we just can keep expanding. Yeah, there's title roles, but sometimes playing a washer wench is more fun than being a king, because you can be creative and not just be the lead in a parade float. So that was what I bring. Like I said, anything that I've learned that I can make somebody else's life easier or better, to pay that forward, teach them how to fish. That's what we're about, in that inclusion. Mm-hmm. And since my dad moved us a lot, he was in the military, and so moved us a lot. And so I was always the new kid, always. And so if somebody reached out and befriended me, just like you were saying, Carson, play, what that means to you. And so like, even at parties, if somebody's in the corner, I'm going to go befriend them and not just try to be with the clique, because they're fine. And that's what we say in our training, that no cliques, that you reach out. If somebody's new, you reach out, and that, not everybody is a good fit, and we have to be mindful, and so if it's not good, then we'll let some people go. But all about what you're saying is that inclusion and being willing to play. So anyway.
And that's what William awesome. Really, when you saw that in that part in the film, when he went He did not expect that. I didn't expect that. I
Mhm.
really didn't. Barry's got a sign over the front door of the of our studio, and it says, "Come in as strangers, leave as family." Is that right, Barry? Is that
Yeah,
right?
it says enter as strangers, leave as friends, and then
That's what it is. Yeah.
I always say to people, but we here say, but leave as family.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. It's not long before you become family.
No, it's like impossible not to. I do
Yeah.
want to point out the Reelin' Rogues are here. They're part of the Tennessee Medieval
Hey!
Faire family, and they
Love those
are
guys.
awesome. They were people watching. If you don't know who the Reelin' Rogues are, you can check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/the Reelin' Rogues. I'm pretty sure. But they were also featured in the video, in the film a little bit
Mhm.
too. I also want to let everybody who's watching on Facebook and YouTube know that you can ask questions of Barrie and Carson. Now's the time. Put them in your
Please
comments
do.
and I'll pull them out. And we'll ask some questions about all of the different things, whatever you want to ask, pretty much within reason.
Yeah, whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
We're pretty
Yeah,
open.
whatever you know. Barry's an open book. Now, Carson, you mentioned that you chose the song, "The Wayfaring Stranger," right? You chose
Yes.
that song for the film for a particular reason, and I don't know
Yeah,
what that reason is. And there's a little backstory to that.
I did. In searching for how this was going to the type of mood and the pace that we wanted to have with this film, we spent a day with William and shot a lot of footage, and I wanted to create something immediately after that has a we call it a mood trailer, basically. And what that does is that shows the type of pacing that I'm looking for. It shows the type of color grade, the music, the tone. It basically sets a trajectory for where this is going to go. And so when I was listening to picking out music for that, I came across Jack White's Wayfaring Stranger. And of course, it's not his. I mean, it's an old song. It's that song's been around for hundreds of years. And my grandfather used to sing that song.
Cool.
He was a pastor, and he sang it in church a lot. And as I got to listening to the lyrics, the lyrics are about this person who he's done with this world, and he's really, the one thing he wants more than anything else is to go to that fair land where all of his family is. He wants to be with his family. And it really put me in the mindset of William too, is that not that he's ready to leave this world, but he is like, he wants to be with us as much as he can. You get that impression from the film, and knowing him personally, I know that as well. So he's longing for that moment to get back there to that fair land. And so it had a little bit of a special place in that regard, special place for me because of my grandfather singing it. And also I wanted something that reflected the area that we live in, and nothing does that better than bluegrass music.
True.
And so traditional song, I didn't have to worry about copyrights, but I sure couldn't use Jack White's version. So I called up my cousin, who is a performing artist, and he is in a band called Wolf Jet. And I asked him if he would be interested in performing this, and he jumped at the chance to do it. And I'm so happy that he did, because he really, his whole band turned out just a great performance of it. But the bittersweet part of this, though, is that he went to California with a friend of his to go and live with him and to help build this studio, a recording studio, and really not just a recording studio, but a place where a lot of musicians could come and gather together and have jam sessions, a community, basically, not far removed from what we're doing in a way. But he went there, and they created exactly what they wanted it to be. And they recorded Wayfaring Stranger out on their back porch. And it was the last thing they recorded there, because the California wildfires swept through a few months ago and wiped the entire studio out, the entire house, everything, instruments.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but a lot of damaged property. So But that's another special thing though, that I was really happy that I could record it, or I couldn't record, but I could have my cousin record it. So there's a lot of meaning behind it. Yeah.
And I think we have a little video of them.
This would have been the last recording they did before. The last recording they did there before everything burned down.
All right.
I am a poor wayfaring stranger, while traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness nor danger in that bright world to which I go.
Wow, that was very so powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Wolf Jess says, "Thank you for having us be part of the project."
Oh, I can't thank him enough.
Yeah, right. None of us can. That just gave so much feeling. Sorry, I saw a comment earlier for Barrie. My friends, Cheeks and Phoenix, are a music duo that I've known for several years, and they want to know how to submit for consideration for the next Tennessee Medieval Faire.
Okay.
How would they be able to do that?
They can just email me the information about their show, and the email is darkhorse, DARKHORSE LLC @comcast.net. So just the details about the show and a link so I could see them, and happy to audition them. We're all about being opportunities. We have to be able to afford you. But so we're always looking for people on their way up. They don't realize how good they are, but I know. Hello, Nicole, right?
Yeah. Okay. Digital Run Fair just commented, or we just commented. I'm part of Digital Run Fair. I don't know what's happening. They just put your email address, Barrie, in the comments, so they'll be able to see it. So let's see. I got a lot of people saying they got goosebumps. So there's that.
That's
which
good.
Obviously, like, how could you not? I'm just scrolling up to see some of the comments and see if anyone gave us questions. If you missed the film, everybody, you can go see the film that we just played. It's available until 9:30 tonight Eastern Standard Time on the Digital Run Fair Facebook page. So you can go watch it after this talk back, but not now. You gotta wait till we're done talking, and then you can go.
Ask us a question.
Yeah, we've got a question up here. Daniel Knight asked a couple minutes ago, "Do you know someone who makes props and costumes where you live?" And I don't know if he means in Tennessee, but go for it.
That's all you, Barrie.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's see. We combination of things. Oftentimes, Lars and I will make the costumes or props, or if somebody in our cast or that we know locally, that way we can give them the opportunity. So it just depends on. I guess the question is, does somebody need something, or are they offering their services? That would be the thing.
Okay, so if they need something or they're offering their services, should they send you an email?
Me. Sure, they can contact me.
Perfect. Also, I don't know if everybody knows this, but William is in the house. He's watching from home. Yeah, and we love you, William. We're in love with you. I want to come hang out with you and your cats and be best friends.
I told him,
you know.
I told him that if this goes the way I hope that it goes, in the sense that it spreads across all of our Renaissance and Medieval Faire communities, that said, "Look, dude, you're the ambassador now for all of us." So good on you, man.
Mm-hmm. You're the face of the local cast community awesomeness and what it means to everybody, William. Yeah. Thank you so much for telling your story. We have a question for Barrie from my friend John. He says, "How big is your average cast for the fair?"
On average, we try to have enough for a chess match. So what is that, 32? We shoot for that. And sometimes it's, if we have a little less, then we have somebody else in the audience stand in. So that's our street cast. Yeah, we aim for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's a decent size because the festival grounds themselves. So it used to be like
about 8
all covered
acres.
in trees and stuff. 8 acres. Okay, so that
Oh.
gives you very saturated with street cast.
Yeah,
Which is awesome.
which is good. Plus, then we have all the other pro acts that, you know, when they're not on stage, hopefully they're walking around a little bit when they're not wrestling. So yeah, we like the interaction. I mean, I came up as a street character, as a combat person. So yeah.
Also, while we're waiting for some other questions, I do want to say too to everybody watching. So just like every other festival, pretty much, yeah, literally every other festival in the country this year, the Tennessee Medieval Faire was affected by the pandemic, and they did postpone their season, but then unfortunately had to cancel their season. So if you feel like helping keep the Tennessee Medieval Faire going for next season and tossing a coin into their virtual baskets, you can do so via hopefully a link that will come up in a second. Oh, it's in the comments. You can donate to the Tennessee Medieval Faire on PayPal. That link is in the comments. So please, be generous when you can be. And they are putting on, like I said, it's a super delightful little nugget of love in the middle of the Tennessee wilderness, which also Tennessee is a beautiful state. If you've never been there, you should go there. And it was my first full fair as a solo performer. So I love it. William has said, as ambassador to all Ren fairs, all are welcome at his humble abode. So we're all gonna invade William. I mean, like, visit him all at the same time. We each get to pet a cat because he's got a bunch.
He won't mind.
That would be fantastic. We'll have a big party at William's house. Okay, party at William's house. Stay tuned to the Digital Ren Fair for details.
I've also got to let me give a big thank you to my friend Daniel Ryan from the Crack for graciously letting us use the his She and Gannon piece, and so I love that, and that was one of those songs too. When I heard that, I was like, I don't know what better song I could use to fit the feeling of a Ren Fair or a medieval fair, and so that was perfect. So a big thank you to the Crack for letting us use that.
Thank you to the Crack. I'm just going to put that comment up there, just more information to remind people that they can donate to the Tennessee Medieval Fair, and I'm going to leave it there for a second.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's my license plate, TM Fair.
Is it? Oh, that's awesome.
Car.
Yeah, I would mean logically, you totally should have that. So, okay, what else was I going to ask you? Now I forget. I have a clipboard, but I did not write it down. So it's not on the second page either. So Carson, you played last time. Oh, Cheryl says this would make a great full-length documentary. FYI, Carson and Barrie, if you want to do this in the future and keep going. You got watchers. People will watch this. I would watch this multiple times in a row.
Let me just say that I've already got some new ideas.
That's awesome.
That's all I'm going to say about it right now.
No spoilers. Hashtag no spoilers. But so Carson, did you play Robin Hood last year at the
I
fair?
did. Yes. Last year was my first medieval fair. I did 3 pirate fests before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then
that's because, to let everybody know, the Tennessee Medieval Fair happens in May, June, and then it's a 1 weekend pirate festival in October, Barrie?
Now it's 2, yeah. And
now it's 2.
In the future, we're going to switch it because we did a poll. So we're going to do the Pirate Fest in the spring and the medieval in the fall, just because of heavy costumes. So it was 70% people wanted to switch it. So
yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to let everybody know that their Tennessee Medieval Fair encompasses 2 events.
Yes.
So go ahead, Carson. Sorry to interrupt.
So yeah, actually now that I think it was actually 2 pirate fests, and then I did medieval fair. Yeah, that's right. So I in the pirate fest, I played somebody entirely different from Robin Hood. So if you see my pictures, you see a shaved head and a huge big mustache and a big beard. And so that's not Robin Hood. So when we went to Robin Hood, I remember the first year that I was at Pirate Fest, I asked what the theme was going to be for the next year, for 2018's Medieval Fair. And Barrie said, I think we're going to do Robin Hood. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was so excited. But I was like, I'm pretty busy with work and family and stuff. I was like, I don't know if I can do two. But so I didn't that year. But the next year, I went for it. Robin Hood has been one of those characters that I have been a massive fan of since I was a child. So Barrie cast me as Robin Hood, but what she didn't realize was that she was casting me as one of my lifelong heroes. So it's like super important to me. So I was going to play Robin Hood again this year, but since with COVID, thanks COVID, we're moving that to next year. So I'll get another shot at Robin next year.
Ooh,
Yeah.
like that's like a teaser.
Yeah.
So everybody mark your calendars.
But first Pirate Fest.
Right.
First Pirate Fest.
So what we
First
did,
Pirate
because
Fest one, yeah.
we had to, we ramped up, and then we had to stop, right? And then then we ramped up again and then it stopped. So then what came to me, or came to Lars, my husband, our general manager, was just that we could do a showcase for ourselves. And so then it'd be a month before the show. So then Lars has been writing all these scripts and all these sides and everything. And so then we did it for ourselves, and then the cast could see, themselves. And then we'll talk to Carson about editing that down to something we can post. But we just felt that it was a way for them to see themselves and to have something for it. So anyway, so that's what we did for our cast.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I want to point out this comment from Ronald. It's a long comment.
We love Ronald.
Oh, good. He said he loves it as his home fair, it's Tennessee Fair, but the Tennessee Medieval Faire and Pirate Festival are his favorite.
We have a handful of really hardcore fans. Ronald's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's
That's
definitely one of them. So.
But what was so funny about him is that I only knew him as being a friend on Facebook because he had, wanted to be friends and all that. So anyway, what happens is when I'm on site and then the cameras are there for the TV or whatever, Lars doesn't like to be on camera. And so I look around and up walks this person. I'm like, hey, you be here, be on TV, And so then we're doing this whole thing. And then after he was just like, hi, Barrie. I'm like, hello, do I know you? And it's Ronald. So anyway, we were friends on Facebook, but never in-person friends. And so now we're personal friends too. But
You're
it was
friends
just,
in real life.
Exactly. But it was just so perfect. Enter Ronald.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's so cool. Thanks for being here, Ronald, and everybody else. They're having little conversations on their own in the chat. This is what happens with live streams, is that people get in the chats and then they just start talking to each other in the chat, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not asking a lot of questions. So there's that. I'm waiting for some good questions, but we've got a hello from a New York Ren Fair performer.
Nice.
Hey.
I'd love to get up to New York and see some of the Ren Fairs up there. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't done New York Sterling, but I've done, as you know, Sterling Ren Fair.
Yeah. We've got a question from David. Does Tennessee Medieval change its theme story for each season? And if so, have you decided what the story will be for 2021? I think, not that one. Yeah. Sorry, I click things and then they move and it's
2021 will be what we tried to do this year.
Right. 2021 is a do-over for 2020.
Yeah, we were going to change the theme. We had done, we started out as the East Tennessee Renaissance Festival. So we did older King Henry with his last wife when he was happy. And then we changed, then we did early young King Henry with his first wife when he was happy, get the theme when he was happy. Then we had to change to medieval, and then we did Arthur, 2 times of Arthur, and then Robin Hood a couple times. So we change the theme every couple of years. That way people get used to it, but then we keep it fresh. So so with a Pirate Fest. Yeah. And with the Pirate Fest, we did Captain Blood last year. So Lars is thinking about Captain Lafitte, Jean Lafitte. So anyway, so we'll get to do Robin Hood again because we didn't get to do it this year. Very cool.
We've got a question, probably mostly for Carson, from my friend Sierra. What was the most challenging part of making the film? Now, Sierra knows how to do technological, filmy kind of things. She's super smart and talented with that stuff.
Sierra.
And she she's part of Rain Bubble that does the Digital Ren Fair videos and stuff. So
The
Go for
most
it, Carson.
challenging part, well, the good thing is that since I know William and Barrie and Joffrey and all the cast, it was pretty easy to, get a hold of people. And oftentimes those pre-production things are the hardest parts of just lining everybody up and making sure, that you got the time and they've got the time. That wasn't the problem so much. And so production was super easy because, again, I know everybody. The hardest part, the most challenging part was by far and away the editing process. We got a lot of footage.
4
And
hours, right?
yeah, oh my goodness.
Plus rehearsal.
Yeah. So there's a lot of footage to dig through, not just with the new stuff that we shot with William or with Barrie, but also, I've got a couple of years worth of Medieval Faire footage to cull through to kind of get the archive stuff in that particular middle section. But finding the story, that is always the most challenging, but it's also the most rewarding part too. Because once you whittle it down to what, the essence of the story is, everything just kind of, starts to click. And so even though I thought that the story was going to be something a little bit different, honestly, when I first started out, and it evolved into what it is right now. I had my head filled with a lot of it's this and it's this and it's this. Honestly, it was a little bit too much. I had too many layers and levels of what it could be, until, you get in there and you just start whittling away until you really boil it down to something very simple, and something that connects with a large amount of people. That's what we really wanted to do with this, is that it would be really easy for us to try and communicate with a group or a community that is strictly Ren Fair, because y'all get it. But then to try to communicate the why behind all that to a larger audience that maybe they don't know what a Renaissance fair is, or they don't know what, they don't understand it. That's the other goal. Is like, how can we make it accessible to anybody, no matter where you are on the scale of interest with Renaissance fairs? So getting it to that point was definitely the most challenging, but also the most rewarding part of all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've been asked if everyone can take a drink of your drink. So yes, everyone take a drink of your drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Blancha. Thank you, Sarah and Nathan.
Thank you.
Sorry. And Real and Rose say Blancha as well.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We have a question from Garrett, and he says, what's
Hey.
the most tear-jerking moment on set or on the fairgrounds?
Oh, I know. Barrie, you go. You want to go first?
Wait. For the moment on the set or on the fairgrounds for me?
I don't.
I think for you. I mean, I'm going to answer for myself.
Okay, for answer for
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Most tear jerking. Two things come to mind. One is when you have those special moments when I would walk around with my little dragon puppet, and then the people really, they don't see the strings, they just see the puppet, and they're from little kids to, grandmas. That creating those magical moments is like the best. The other is when there's a long line of people at the gate and people want to come in. And they're wanting to come in and it's ready for the show day, and so those are two of the best things.
Cool. Awesome.
For me, it's really personal. For me, it's my kids. My son was really little John last year, and that was his first Medieval Faire. And when at the closing day, the very last day, and you look at where he started and where he ended up, that's really, really special to be able to share that with my son. And then also to share it with my daughter too. She hasn't done a Medieval Faire yet, but she's done Pirate Fest with me. And the first year she was with me in the Pirate Fest, she was a parrot. She was my parrot. And so she stuck real close to me. But then the second year, she is a pirate, and she is a pirate of somebody else's crew. She's not with Dad anymore. So that moment where there was a moment in our combat croquet, and it's exactly what it sounds like. She is having a bit part there where she's having a fight with somebody, and I'm nowhere around. I'm watching this part of the show because my part comes in later. So just to see her out there away from Dad in her own element, doing her thing, it's just really, really special. You know, to see my kids grow through that. That's the most tear-jerking moment for me.
Everyone at home is crying for like the 5th time now that you said all that stuff.
That's all the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go serious question.
All right.
So that no one cries for this one, maybe. Julie wants to know, does Tennessee Medieval Faire have a lot of fight and combat performers? And if yes, how do you use them in the show? And I know this is Barrie's area of expertise.
Yes, that's my area. So of course, anywhere we can have fights, we have fights. So I'm trained with Society of American Fight Directors. And so, you know, trained in all these different weapons. And so part of what I do is to give back to other people. So I, you know, keep my skills and everything up, and then I train people. So I forgot what the question was. I got lost in combat.
Do you have a lot of, there it is.
Fight. Yes, fight.
A lot of fight and combat.
Right. So we, of course, the joust, but then, you know, if they have their own stuff, and then we do 2 chess matches, or if we do combat croquet, similar to that. And then we have fight shows like with you, with the Gwendolyn Show, back when you were with Sam as the Steel Sisters, you know, fight shows. So we definitely look for a variety of shows, and stage combat is a big one. We don't allow it just where I came from, where you would have street encounters and fights. We don't do that for safety. We keep it all on stage.
Cool. Very cool. Good question, Julie. People are talking about sniffling at the pub sing. That's what I always cry at.
Oh, yes. Especially the very last one.
Oh my gosh. So much crying. It's the end of the day though, so I don't have to worry about my makeup. There was a question earlier. Is it digital? We asked Barrie and Gwendolyn, what would your dream roles be, since Carson's is Robin Hood? Barrie, do you have a dream role?
Well, I've gotten to play all my dream roles. I get you know, Gabrielle the Destroyer. I did that when I toured, and I was a Kate McFearless. You know, so anything that I wanted to do, I've gotten to do, because that's the blessing of being in fights and being and like with you got to create your own character, right, Nicole? Right, as what you want to do, and so lots of times, like when we have a title role like Robin Hood or something, but if we don't have a title role, then you can create your own name, like you did, Carson, with the different stage shows. So the question was, what would
what's I like your dream role? What's your dream role?
I guess I'm doing it. I mean, it'd be nice if we could be self-sustaining profitability wise. We're still on our way up, so that would be the dream role, to not always be stressed about that. But I guess
right.
I married the Renaissance man, Lars Paulson. He was a big cheese and the Renaissance circuit, and I was a touring professional performer, and so to join forces with somebody like that, that we get to bookend each other and support each other and help each other, and so we're living the dream. If we could just be profitable, we'd be happier. But we're paying it forward.
Speaking of being profitable and sustaining and moving forward, if you want to help the Tennessee Medieval Faire move forward and keep giving opportunities to regular people like you and me, well, I'm not that regular, I'm weird, but like everybody that's watching this are the people that you saw in the film, you can donate to the Tennessee Medieval Faire through PayPal. Use that PayPal link. It's in your comments and it's on the screen if you want to type it in. Send them all the dollars. They deserve it. Barrie and Lars work ridiculously hard all year long, as you see, as we've talked about. As we've talked about, they're wearing all the hats in this. They're doing all the administrative, the grounds crew, the writing of scripts, the making of the props and the sets and the stages, the casting of the characters, the training of the cast, like
marketing,
the promotion, the marketing, exactly, like all of this stuff. So they are, if none of us could make it to the Tennessee Medieval Faire, because none of us could make it to pretty much any fair this year, but you can still help them out. And then make sure you've liked their page on Facebook and everything, so you know when they're having the Pyre Festival next year, and then the Medieval Faire next year. We're going to wrap this up in just a couple minutes. If Carson, you've got a compliment about your kids from our friend Ronald.
Oh, thank you, Ronald. I appreciate that.
And then we're going to take another question from Sierra. She wants to know video stuff. What's the best thing about working behind the scenes on projects and fairs versus acting or performing? So what's the best thing about being like the wheels and the cranks and the gears that put it together versus being on the stage and doing it?
Well, for me, because I'm a performer, so obviously I love being on stage. It's
Totally.
It's being, I guess, I mean, I'm not a mom, but it's like a teacher that you are you're giving somebody else the skills to do that. And so you are creating this world that other people can share. So you're teaching them how to fish and they can go on. So that's what we say at Opportunity Fair. Come in, we see that you have talent, we want to help develop that talent and then go forth and pay it forward in that way. So that's what we feel.
That's awesome.
For me, it's can you bring that question up one more time, Gwendolyn?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Let me look at that one. What's the best
complicated question? Sierra is
the
awesome.
best thing about working behind the scenes on projects and fairs versus performing? Okay. Well, the only real behind the scenes that I do are videos like what you saw. So I'll Barry's got more behind the scenes on that, but I'll speak to the acting and performing. The best thing about acting and performing is seeing smiles on people's faces. That is the absolute best thing. I did say I do it for my kids and I do it for other people's kids and stuff. And that goes along with it, is just to put a smile along anybody's face. I mean, it changes everything. My dad, okay, I'm going to try to get through this without being emotional. My dad.
My gosh, you're going to make us cry again?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Come on, Carson.
I'm not going to try to. I will make you cry.
Okay. I'm just going to use my shirt this time.
This is really, for me, this is super important for me too, because like when I was a teenager, I think with a lot of teens, you look at your parents and you go, these people are fools. They don't know anything. And my dad he was a silly guy. He was a larger than life type of guy. And he would often make himself the butt of the joke. And he would, there's a lot of like self-deprecating humor and stuff like that. And lots of eye rolls from me when I was a teen and even into my 20s. And unfortunately, my dad died when I was 30 years old. Right around the time when I started to get why he did what he did. And the reason he did that, the reason he acted that way, was that he wanted to see people smile or have a laugh. And if that meant that it was also at his expense, then it was worth it. And so that's the best part about performing, is seeing somebody smile. Whether it's, at my expense or not, it doesn't matter. I'll make myself the butt of the joke if it makes you have a better day.
Oh, wow, Carson, that was nice of you to share that. When I was just trying to think of what this person is asking as far as behind the scenes, if you're behind, then you're teaching somebody else. But as far as performing, I just had a moment that came to me. It was like when I was in Kansas and I was an On Edge touring company. And so we had chess match and stage shows and things like that. And so I was running from one show to another and in full, fight gear and all this. And this little girl stopped me and she just said, my character name was Gabrielle the Destroyer. So she goes, Gabrielle, you're my hero. And I just thought, and I just said, I fight for all womankind, and then ran off. Where does that come from? But just that moment, it just was like the best ever.
Oh, that's amazing.
And who comes up with womankind? I don't know. That's the improv comes to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She stood up tall, like, I'm womankind. It was like the best moment. So I guess that's for me, is that because performing is so important to me, as far as, me coming up through fighting and touring and On Edge with Dale Gerard, and then in SAFD, Society of American Fight Directors and all that. That if I'm not performing, then the best next thing is to teach other people so then they can get it. Like a mom and dad, Lars and I don't have children, so we don't want to be a smother about that, but just enabling other people, giving that away. So if I'm not performing, then the best next thing is to teach others and let that grow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Louis says that is so fun that
Oh.
that girl stopped you.
Kansas
my
City
gosh.
Run Fair, yeah.
Kansas City Run Fair. That is so awesome. Well, everybody, lords and ladies, thank you for watching. Barrie, Carson, thank you so much, Barrie, for creating this amazing opportunity, Tennessee Medieval Faire, for people to grow and hone their skills. And Carson, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say that, it comes to Lars, my husband, Lars Paulson, because he was the one with the big idea, and so to create this world. So we have to, give credit where credit's due. And I endeavor to backfill with any skill that I have, so.
You have a lot of skills. Trust me. I've known you for several years at this point. You got a lot
I know.
of skills.
I'm so happy.
I know. It's so good to see you. And Carson, thank you so much for sharing this film with us. And William, who's hopefully still in the comments watching, thank you for being part of that film and sharing your story. This has been amazing to not only watch the film, but to talk with you about everything behind it and find out more about.
And thank you and thank the entire Renaissance Medieval Faire community, because I mean the amount of joy and the amount of inclusion that this community gives is unrivaled, really. And if anybody missed this, or it will actually, okay, let's see what we got. 9:30. You guys got 20 more minutes that you can watch it.
Okay.
Premiere tomorrow. DRAFT is releasing this publicly, and if you like this film, please share it with as many people as you possibly know, because I would love for this to just reach as many people as they possibly can. And that's not anything so that it's not that people can just see our work and pat ourselves on the back. It's so that people can hopefully find encouragement to try something they've never tried before, and to get out there and find something that just fulfills them in the same type of way it fulfilled William.
Could I give a couple of shout outs while you're doing that?
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, go.
Well,
do
first,
it.
To Lars, because he's the one with the big idea, the big brain, right?
Yeah.
And then when we were shopping the idea around the city of Harriman, that we met with Chris Mason. He was the mayor at the time, and we pitched everything. And he said, "I've never been to a medieval Renaissance fair, but I understand it, and I want you in my town." So he was the one who made that happen. The Rhone Alliance, they're and how they have helped, because they're thinking about tourism and the fact that we single-handedly have them check off their mission by what we do. And so, plus our investors, people that believed in us to be able to fund for the first 5 years. So we're very grateful for that. And then all of our cast and crew and all of our workers, everything, Carson, Nicole, everybody that has helped in any way, because, the many hands make light work. Well, there's no way that we could do it all. We do as much as we can, but just to feel that support. So very, very grateful.
So awesome. So awesome. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, lords and ladies, children of several ages, you can donate to the Tennessee Medieval Faire via PayPal. The links for that are up in the comments. Tennessee Medieval Faire on PayPal. And you can go to their Facebook page and like it and share it. And then there it is. Thanks, Olivia, in the background. Olivia is our magic.
Yay, Olivia!
All right.
In the background.
Thank you, Nicole. You've been delightful. And Carson, you're a man of many hats, and behind the scenes and in front. And, it's so wonderful. When he first auditioned, he didn't tell us anything about himself. It's just audition. And so we're like, hey, you're pretty good. Yeah. And the more you find out about him, it's just like, oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Barrie, Carson. If you didn't get to see Renaissance Man yet, you can go watch it on the Digital Run Fair Facebook page. You got 15 more minutes to do it. If you did see it already, go watch it again. Get those good tears out, like nice and cathartic, refreshing. It bears watching at least 17 more times. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Barrie. Thank you so much,
Thank
Carson,
you, Gwendolyn.
for doing this and sharing this with you.
Olivia.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Hug.
I'm gonna go.